Welcome to the Equestrian Mindset Academy podcast, an equestrian performance podcast where we will deep dive into the mindset and management challenges of ourselves and of our peers. Our discussions will allow you to learn from experts, encourage you to set audacious goals, overcome challenges, and develop actionable plans. Ready? Let's do this. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Equestrian Mindset Academy podcast. I hope you've been well. So today we have another guest episode, and I think you are going to love it. It's really not often in the horse world that we get to speak and learn about mindset topics from the elite level athletes. So today I'm really excited to have a former Olympian cyclist, professional athlete, Tour de France competitor, commentator, consultant, and now professional equestrian on the podcast, Maarten Ducrot. Now, the topic today was an eye-opener for me, and what really struck me was how Maarten has defined the difference between his feelings and his emotions, and then how he's used that to guide his horse training and his state of being and his interactions with his horses. And I think you'll take a lot just from that alone. Throughout the episode, you'll hear about Maarten's take on responsibility, how aspects of our personality can either consume us or be harnessed and used as a strength. And we'll talk about a lifelong struggle of putting in too much energy, the need to prove yourself, and forcing results. I think so many people who listen to this who are either competing or training to a high level or who are just driven to achieve in any other aspect of life, whether that's work or study or at home, you will relate and you will resonate on the topics from today. Now remember that I won't summarize the key learnings at the end. Instead, what I'll do is I'll take what Maarten teaches us and I'll base the next few episodes of the podcast on my biggest learnings or my key takeaways. But I've really enjoyed you messaging me after the last couple of guests and letting me know what resonated the most with you. So please make sure to do the same for this episode. I love hearing that. So I'm really excited for you to hear this discussion. Let's just dive straight into it.
So first tell me about yourself, Lauren.
Yeah. Who's interviewing who? I think the audience will like your story better. Trust me. So welcome everyone. Welcome Maarten onto the podcast today.
Thank you very much, Lauren. It's an honor.
I'm very excited to have you here, Maarten. And I would love to start just by introducing you to the audience. If you could tell us just a bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm rather new to horsemanship, 15 years, but I'm old, 64 years. I'm married, I have 3 kids, and the youngest one is because of me being into horses. I started out as an athlete because I liked sports very much, and I loved horses all my life, but I thought horses is something for rich people and for people who play golf and that kind of stuff. Not for me, not for normal people like me. I consider myself as a normal guy, but so I started off as a student, but I didn't like to study at the university. The way in which they taught me things, sit in the classroom. Absorbing the information somebody in the front of the classroom is pouring out on me. I didn't like it at all, but I didn't know at the time. I just felt awkward. I just felt very unhappy. So I started to be more in sports than ever. And it was cycling, because every year on the holiday, I took my bike with a friend and we went off with a tent on the back to backpacking with a bike. And I was interested in the material, in the bike, in the thing itself. So I worked to have my own bike, race bike, and then once I had it, I could bring it apart in all the little pieces. And once I had it, I have to start to race. And that was only the second thing. It was first about being underway, having your own bike. Solve everything you encounter on the way, and everything. You have always a place to sleep, always something to eat, and it gave me a boost in my self-confidence. And then I hit this instrument, this bike, And then I had to race. So that was sort of kind of coincidence. And in my first race, I can still see it was in the rain, and I was scared in the peloton because you race in a group, and it's very tight, and they go fast. So I went ahead, and I see the line, the finish line. I see it from. I'm going to win, and I was so amazed. I looked around, and then there was this one guy who sprinted just his wheel in front of me. So I was second, and everybody was saying, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Sorry for my language, but that was what they said. Who is this guy? Oh, and then I started really to get interested in being an athlete, and so I did the Olympics in '84. That's how old I am already, in Los Angeles, and I was world champion in time trialing, and then I went pro, and I won a Tour de France stage. The Tour de France is the biggest race in the world, and I won a stage. So I quite made it. But and on the Everest, never-ending road to the top, you're never there.
Yes, what I love about that story is that it started out really as a passion and as a curiosity, and it develops over time into like something that you dedicate all of your time and energy to, which is very interesting. But what I would love to hear about is, as a side story, how was your experience at the Olympics? Because that is incredible, and very, very few people ever make it to an Olympics.
Yeah, that's something I came to understand afterwards, because in cycling, it's one of the few sports with a professional top, and Olympics was for the non-professionals, for the beginners, So I wanted to become a professional. They already gave me a contract, but I only signed it till after the Olympics because I thought I want to be there. And something went terribly wrong. I was world champion at the time in time trialing with the team time trialing, and Los Angeles was it was awesome. Venice Beach every day to train. It was incredible, and we trained hard. But the thing is that we were not professional, and the surroundings, our coaches were not professional. It's incredible because these days everybody's on top of their game. These days it was just under. In Holland, because we competed professional athletes, and we were fourth in the time trial because we didn't had the opportunity to get to know the race circuit. There was the highway, and they closed it off for the traffic so the riders could observe all the obstacles and the turns, and our coach didn't speak any English. Being in the Olympics in Los Angeles, he didn't speak English, so we missed that we had this opportunity. So we went in the blind on the race circuit, and we ended up fourth within 20 seconds of the second and 9 seconds of the third. So I get this diploma when we should have had the silver medal for sure. And but as Marijke said, our coach in straightness training, it's always you. I should have known better. And I was there. I was in Los Angeles with a badge on my belly, which said it was my accreditation, competing athlete. Can you imagine what happens on the Venice Beach when you enter the venue with a sign saying you're a competing athlete? So I was an athlete. I was a competing athlete, but I was also, and that's my passion, that's my obsession. I was underway. I was traveling. I was meeting people, and it was wonderful. But we were fourth within 9 seconds of the third, and it was we were really. Now I'm an old man. I look back on it. Sometimes I dream of it at night. What an opportunity we missed over there! Yeah, it was in our hands.
What this is not our topic of today, but what advice would you give someone in that similar situation? Because you make it to this pinnacle and you now reflect on it and you can see things that you may have wanted to do differently. How do you come to terms with that in yourself?
You have to know all the details and make a decision on who you're going to trust. And trust doesn't mean, we have this Dutch saying, it's vermetel vertrouwen. It's when I believe in God, so I can jump off this flat building and he will save me. That's not trust. That's not faith. You have to have a reason to believe something. So you have to believe, and then when you believe, you have to arrange it. You have to take responsibility. That's the most important thing. And we didn't take responsibility. We said, "Oh, coach doesn't speak English. What an asshole he is." So we started complaining about the coach, which was the nicest man ever, but he didn't speak English. Yeah, and he did, and he was there because he was on the Olympics too. So he was in the same carriage as we were in the same boat. So it was not professional. You have to take your responsibility, and then you can trust people.
I think that is the first big learning that people can take from you listening to this episode is you have to take responsibility in all situations in life.
The big thing, I'm a social psychologist. After I was an athlete, I worked as a consultant, and the big lack of things right now, we organize things in a degree that everything is taken care of. And what you see now as a counter movement is that it's very hard for people to take responsibility in the workplace. The workplace should be a place where people meet, gather, because they believe in something, and they're assigned for a task. But this task and the work they do is empowered by they're there because it means something. And now they go to their work. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. I just do my job because I get paid. And you get this a functional building in which tasks are assigned to people on a spreadsheet, not because people come to the workplace because they believe they can build something and they can mean something. And that's and Holland, I don't know how it's in Australia, but we have this devastating figures about people under 40 years, which I consider very young. They're all burned out. 30% is burned out. It's not because their burden is too hard. No, they can't lift the weight anymore because taking responsibility, you have to learn. And we go to the school and we don't have to, you're not measured by who you are and what you can. You are measured by the group. We take a test, and afterwards we decide what the norm is, and then afterwards, depending on what everybody else scores is, then you get your score. So it's about the school getting a degree on the average of all the people who did the test, and not about you as an individual. And the one thing I learned in life is you're not alone. You're a human being. You're connected with other people, but you are responsible. It's an individual thing, and you're not alone. You have no control over the outcome because you have to be together in a peloton and in cycling. You go 60 k's an hour with everybody together, but you can't control it. You take responsibility, you lift the weight, you give your contribution, but you have no control. And that's for me the most important thing right now in life, and what my whole life travel is about is your individual responsibility, not only for your own sake, but it's the good for everybody. And that's something we lose in a high tempo, at high speed, and that's why we want to have control. You don't have control. You have to live and take responsibility. Underway, it's like I'm an athlete. We have to win. Yeah. But we are 200 athletes in a peloton, So everybody wants to win. So you can only push your pedals as hard as you can and be smart and suffer a lot. And then in the end, maybe you win. If you never win, then you have to ask yourself, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm not a good athlete. Maybe I'm making mistakes. But take your responsibility underway. You are underway. It's on the route, not at the end, not in hindsight. No, in the moment. That's the most difficult thing there is. And it's something it's lacking in the world right now. In Holland, at least. In Australia, everything is all right, I think.
No. Something that we've been talking about on this podcast is similar to that, in that the responsibility comes from inside in you, from your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and that gets you the result, the external, or it helps you, like you said, contribute to the result of everyone else as a group result. So it's really topical that you said that, because we've been talking about that a lot on this podcast. So that fits in perfectly.
Yeah.
So let's talk then. My dad always used to tell me that horses breed responsible children, because I always had to be out there looking after them first. So your youngest was the one who got you into horses. How did that happen?
Yeah, she was 5 years old and she saw this movie about horses, and she couldn't put her arms like this, so she did, I want a horse.
Oh, so cute.
And my wife said, no, that's not. And I said, because I one thing I learned to take responsibility is to play. When people play, they learn to take responsibility, to control their aggression, not to be not aggressive, but to control your aggressiveness, not to go too far. An art which we also lost a little bit. But aside of that, I said, I play, okay, you get a horse. Of course you get a horse. So she thought, hey, that is my friend. I said, but first you have to learn how to ride it. And you saw immediately she was going from this to, he's right. But I didn't know then that the next day, because she's just as fanatic as I am, the next day I had to go into a riding arena in a school, in a manege. How do you say that? In a stable. And they smelled like hell, these horses. It was terrible. And I was once on a holiday, I was sitting on a horse, and I loved horses all the time. When I take a hike and there's horses in the pasture, I try to get them over. And but then I was really encountering horses, and I took lessons as well. And my little girl, 6 years old, was only allowed to groom the horses. And then when she was 6.5, she was put on it. No groundwork, not whatsoever. Somebody else prepared the horse, and then she was put on top of the horse, and then, like a car, turn on the key and go. And so I said, I take lessons as well. So I was with 10-year-old girls, because I don't know how it's in Australia. I thought it's a sport for heroes, riding your horse in war, and like the cowboys, the Indians. And I come over there, I didn't see any human on the male side, none whatsoever. I was 48, and I was the only man, and it was incredible. And there was all the time, the coaches were shouting, because it was a big arena, so they had to make themselves understand. And it was a terrible atmosphere. They were only instructed the telling style. Mm-hmm. And I'm a coach for leadership as well. And I know one thing for sure: from this situation, these circumstances, there will no beauty, no performance, nothing will come from it. It's only disempowering. And so at one time that we were galloping, and my horse is Jim, because nobody dared to ride on Jim. Jim was a gelding, and Jim loved me, and And when he heard me, he was stamping his feet. And so we were going too fast. So this woman was yelling at me. And so we stopped. And everybody else was galloping. And he was standing in the middle of Jim and me. And Jim was standing next to me. And I said, "Dear Mrs. Teacher, Jim and I want to do everything you ask, but please, please stop shouting." So that was my last lesson in the arena. And then I started to look for individual lessons. And that's the start of the journey. That's about 15 years ago. I started to look for places. And one of the pinnacle moments is that there's a lot to find on YouTube. And I met Ross Jacobs on YouTube, and he's an Australian horseman, and he is wonderful. And he was the guy who learned me, who talked about the thought of a horse. So you have to make him think, where are his thoughts? And where his thoughts are, his feet will go. And that was the first time I noticed the thought of a horse. I just make him do it. And I ask him very polite, please. But I started begging a horse instead of guiding his thought. And that was a real opening moment. And then I went to, because Australia was too far then, I went to a friend of his, Harry Whitney in America. And he recommended it. I don't even think Ross knows this, but I still follow him. I read his book. And in the meantime, I had my own horses, because I promised my daughter she got her own horse, and when she was 15, then we got I already had a horse, and then she had her horse. We moved to a little farm, and it's growing, and it's all about being underway to learn, to get more insight, to know yourself, and to be on this journey to get better every day. And I really learned a lot about myself, because when you want to get done something with a horse, it's all about you. You have to take the responsibility. The horse is just standing there. What do you want? Okay, nothing. I don't understand you. I'm away. So you really have to think about yourself. And Ross Jacobs was a very important guy for me.
What made you switch then? Because so that sounds like you went from the traditional riding system into more of that maybe natural horsemanship style, and then classical dressage.
Yes. What happened was I thought I jumped to Ross Jacobs and Klaus Hemfling. He's the horse whisperer from Denmark, and he really knows horses. But it didn't relate to me. It didn't. I read all his books. You can he is right, but he makes such a fuss of it. It's so you get the believers and you get the non-believers. But he knows what he's talking about. But I'm more down to earth. I want to know it so I can teach it to myself, to my horse, to other people. I'm a teacher. So, and then I understood I had to go deeper into it. And I must admit, the very moment I took a decision was to change and to really go into it was, I have my own horse, Pocholo, the white horse. It's a Spanish bred Andalusian, very proud horse, gelding. My fault, because at the stable they told me we don't want stallions. He has to be gelded, because otherwise we can't hold him. No, it's my mistake, and he knows it. He knows I have to do something with him being a gelding. He never forgave me, I think. But that aside, I fucked up my horse. I really made him suffer, because I'm an athlete. And just try harder. Go for it. We can do this move. And so I did training with him, and I went for 3 hours outside trekking. 20 k's an hour average. And I came back from the Tour de France, but I'm a commentator on television, and I didn't see him for 4 weeks, and somebody else wrote him, and I saw him, and I immediately saw one. He's too thin. He was and he was unhappy. You could immediately see he was unhappy, and when he saw me, he went away. So I thought, I have to change. I have to change now. And then I brought someone in who I had heard about, who was a horse whisperer, and I put aside all my prejudices, and she asked the one question: who is riding this horse? And the way she asked it was, she was not about to give me a compliment. So I said, well, it's me. And she said, well, I suggest that you don't ride it for a while. What do you mean by a while? A year? A year? What the hell is... Yeah, he's sore. He's not able to carry people. He's crooked. And you are forcing him to do things he can't do, but he loves you so much, he still does it. It's a Spanish horse. You can go into war with it, but you make war for him, and he's out. He's broken. And I sat there. How in the world could I be that stupid? How could I not see? And then I started studying. Then Corona came also. So I read everything. Marijke is talking about the old masters. I really studied it. And then I came in. You have to gymnastize. You have to educate the body of the horse. And as an athlete, I know it's not your brain you have to educate. It has to get into your system. And modern science also pointed in the direction that it's not your brain, which is the seat of your consciousness. It's your body. It's in your body, and movement is in your body. You have maybe a way to look at this is as a human being, you're an antenna in a social system. People cannot exist on their own, alone. It brings me back to the point that you have responsibility in a social system. You have no control on it, but you have to take care of your little task, your contribution. And and your body is a very, very, very important instrument in it. I was in the peloton as a cyclist, and we went 60 k's an hour. But when you go so fast, it's only possible because you group together. It's like a flock of birds, and the birds in the front, they take away the wind for you. So in the group, you can go faster than you can go alone. But then they get tired in the front. So once in a while, you get to the front, and all together you can go fast. But the faster you go, the closer together you have to ride. But then you cannot see the road anymore. You cannot see the danger anymore. So you have to trust the people in front of you. And that's how I learned you're an antenna in a social system. I could feel when there was going this eagerness in the peloton. Something is going to happen. There are guys with a plan. They want to attack. And you felt it. And then that brings me back to Klaus Hempfling. It's very real. It's not esoteric horse whispering. It's physical. It's real. You can feel the road. You can feel your bike. You can feel your neighbors. You feel it. Only we are so trained in control, trained in producing the result that's desired, that we don't feel anymore. And that we exist because we feel. That's our human condition. We can feel, and on top of that feeling, we think. Our brain is a sort of spy hanging in the air, seeing us, acting. We can see ourselves acting. That's also our madness. But first, we are a body that feels things, and on top of that, we think. And feeling is not emotion, because Marijke is right. The emotion, you have your thoughts, and then you have your emotions. But the feeling is, I'm sitting on this chair, and I'm I'm very excited about this conversation, so it's getting a little sweaty. So I have to remind myself, okay, let's be more quiet because Lauren tried to catch up. And so it's feel. It's not emotion. Feel something. Feeling is what you can do with your hands, what your body does. Your body feels things, feels yourself, feels your emotions, and that feeling, that's the basis of everything. And your thoughts are seated on what you feel. And when it's disconnected, as it was with me, that's my lifelong struggle. Because when I'm not connected, I do my survival mode. I start to push. I'm a strong athlete, so I push all the time. I push. Come on, you can do it. Bang. Stop it. Feel. And I forgive myself because it's a trap I get into every day. Even now, I'm speeding up because I want to convince you. So I start to push. So you don't push back. So I go faster. I give you more. So maybe it's time to back down a little, but that's my lifelong lesson. And in horseback riding, it's there every moment, every second. And by the way, before you go on, my horse loves me and he comes to me. So I learned a lot. So it changed. You can change.
Yes, yes. And I think that's so important that we mention the changes that we do go through. Like, as you were talking about your journey there, I was also reflecting that I'm very similar, and my default is to force things, whether that's forcing myself to get through a sickness, or forcing myself to work harder, or forcing my horse to jump higher, gallop faster, whatever it used to be. That, my horses were all ex-race horses turned eventers and show jumpers, and I drove them and I pushed them as hard as I could. And something that one of the coaches said to me a couple of months ago was, talk to the mind, don't force the body, when we were talking about my horse. And I really liked that, because I do tend to, I try to be aware of my own mind, but I'm not necessarily aware of their mind. Like you're talking about learning about how the horse thinks and how the horse feels. That was always a part that I skipped.
Okay. And what did the horse tell you when you're in that state? What did the horse say?
Yeah. So for me, I wasn't very good at listening to messages. So it means that I probably missed a lot of messages. But what happened was that my horses all broke down and they were all very badly injured.
That's the same with me. I almost killed my horse. Okay, you did the same. Oh, I'm not alone. I thought I was.
Yeah. I have 5 horses, but 2 of them, I think I can tie back to my actions. And it's a very important lesson to learn. And I think.
But how obedient can they get?
Oh, I travel them all over Australia to competitions, and I never once listened. It's just been such a good journey. It's changed my life. And I think we've really naturally come to what our mindset topic is for today.
I talked about it already. Well, you said something interesting. You said it's the mind, how you look at things before you do things. That's what you're talking about. Am I right?
Yes.
And what I said, it's the perspective you choose, a perspective you can choose, and the perspective you choose. And for me, that is like it's for you. Something has to happen, and it depends on me. Come on. So when your mind is obsessed with it, from all the perspectives you can choose, from the loving horse lady or the soft cowboy or anything, from all the perspectives you can choose, you choose this one of, come on, we can do it, try harder. We have to perform. And the feeling, not the emotion, just the feel of sitting on the horse. Do you feel the horse? Do you feel the ground? on which the horse is standing. Is the horse a lengthening of your body? And then it comes back to your antenna in a social system. And the wonderful thing with the horse is he connects to you. So if you do it well, you're one antenna, or at least you feel the horse. And once you feel it, you get a different mind. Then it is possible. It is always because you skip the feel. Look at Ross Jacobs. He talks about it. You have to have him in your podcast as well as Warwick Schiller.
Yes.
He's also an Australian.
Yes.
You know him?
I love Warwick Schiller. He is fantastic.
Yeah. But yeah, he is. I met him twice, and he's very. But he changed as well, because even when he was a natural horsemanship guy, he was talking about how to produce things.
Yes.
And you have to wait until your mind is connected to the feeling, and not the emotion. I keep saying it. The feel of really being into now. Okay, do you feel your feet on the ground? Do you feel the horse? And then when you in that place, you see the horse and you immediately know where his thoughts are. And my horse, when he's obedient, he can be very obedient, but he can also be a little nippy and bitey. And I thought it's about dominance. No, it's not about dominance. He's trying to tell me when he's biting, I'm trying very hard. Will you shut the fuck up? Sorry for the language, but that's what he's screaming at me. And I didn't know before. He's screaming, will you please stop pulling my face? I'm trying already. Yeah? Okay. And then he starts biting a little. So he's very gentle with me. I would really put my fist between his eyes, but that's me, and he is a different person, so to speak. And the lesson I learned is, and that's what I learned already in the peloton, but I've reminded me every time, I'm an antenna in a social system. So start with the feel. What do you feel? Feel your body. Then choose your perspective. Marijke talks about choose. What place are you from? Place of curiosity, or a place of empathy, or what? And that's rational. It comes to you when you're standing there. Feel your body, and you have to learn that to feel things. Then you feel the horse, and then the perspective presents itself. Okay, today what are we going to do? I have a plan. Is it your plan too? And the most important lesson is, if you want to take responsibility, you have to be prepared very well. So you have to study, you have to learn, you have to know what you're talking about. But then wire this down to that moment. And that starts with the feel. Then it's about, okay, what is the perspective? And that's what you call it mind. What mindset? Control your mind. For me, it's controlling my body, because it's ingrained in my body. As soon as I make jokes about it all the time, that's my way to deal with it. So I almost said, when you said I injured 2 horses, I would almost say as my company, I only fucked up 1. I'm better than you. That's immediate. That kicks in. And making jokes about it is a way to handle it. Because to make a joke about it, it's going away. Then I can feel already, it's not necessary. I'm a better horseman, of course I'm better. So making jokes is my savior.
I think what's so important there that you also remind the audience is these are sometimes ingrained as habits in us. So you don't just get rid of this. This is something that comes back over your journey. So it's something that you felt and saw in the peloton. It's found its way into your horse journey now too. And it's reminding yourself that you can deal with it and that you've got strategies to be able to do it.
You have to deal with it. Lots of people say, I make jokes about it too. I'm going to be operated on it. So they cut it out. No. It's you. It's your personality. It's in your body. It's in your DNA. That's how people over the generations evolved, because our next generation stands on our shoulders. And there's physical evidence, scientific evidence that it's also in your DNA. It's not only something you have to learn mentally, rationally. It's already in your body. So in my body, it is to be a warrior, and I'm not proud of it yet, but I'm learning to be more proud of it, because it's like a big car, a muscle car at the traffic lights, and I used to be the first one to go full gas all the time, and now I'm the muscle car at the traffic light, and I'm just riding easy, and only when it's necessary, I know I have this motor in. This motor, by the way, is getting older and older and older, and I'm getting, but still, for me, it's a way to deal with it. Don't cut it out. Don't ruin your mindset with it by telling yourself, by hating yourself for it. You have to deal with it, and not dealing well and putting it aside. No, it's your strength, but it's not necessary to put in 100% of your strength every time. So you have to learn, and your body is telling you that already. Because what I came to learn is, when you put in your effort all of the time, then it's survival mode. I used to say, I jump out of a plane, and before I hit the ground, I know how the parachute works. But I find myself throwing myself out of planes all of the time, so I can find out how the parachute works. And that's survival mode. That's not necessary. It's no fun. It's not. It ruins your horse. You have to ask yourself, what is it in me, in my body, that I have to injure my horse to get my result? What's happening? And it's not even necessary to go back to your childhood traumas or anything. No, just feel your body, and then feel the eagerness, and then feel it, and let it go. And that's meditation. I do a lot of yoga meditation, just to control my body, to be aware of my body, and that's where the seat of my conscious is. And then I can choose my perspective, and then I have control over my mind. And that's a lifelong study, I must admit. I forget all the time.
Yes, exactly. And I think what's interesting there is what you're explaining is there's like a scale, and you can go too far on the edge of the scale, where you're jumping out of the airplane all the time and learning how the parachute works. And perhaps there's the other end, where you've stopped realizing that it's innate in you, and it's a strength, and that you can use it in a good way. So how do you come to know in yourself that it's helping you or it's not helping you in different situations?
To talk to people, I'm a coach, but I am coached as well. I have a few very wonderful coaches, and now I have my horse. But then again, I film myself with my horse, and in straightness training, there's Maarten Ducrot, our guru. She hates the word, and I'm just teasing her with it. But she said, in my last hot seat 2 weeks ago, "What the hell are you doing?" What do you think, Marijke? I'm producing a film which made my touchstone a 10-star. What do you think? What do you think? I produced it. So then I go out of the arena, and I know a lot of people get upset about feedback, but I love it. Here I go again, and I can forgive myself. That's all. It's about forgiving yourself. And then you go back, and then my horse says, he's waiting for me, and he has this black eyes, and he's going, his ears, "Are you okay again? Okay, then I go with you." Otherwise, he's going, "Okay, I'm away." He tells you immediately. You don't have to be a horse whisperer. It's very, very obvious, but you have to learn where to look.
So I also did those lessons with you, and my feedback on the first one, she told me it was a very good performance and it looked perfect. And my primitive brain this was excellent. This is exactly what I wanted to hear. But what she meant was I was posed and I was like faking it and forcing it to try and look perfect, right? And immediately I knew, oh, this is exactly my old habit coming up again, where I put in too much energy and I'm forcing, and here it is again. So,
but you can, it's all there.
yeah.
It's all there. Only you have only to put in less effort. But the thing is, her eye is that sharp. She can see if it's a picture or is it real. Is it beautiful? Is it a dance, or is it a gymnastic doing the the gymnastics on Olympics? They're not beautiful to watch. It's amazing, but it's not beautiful. Dancing, that's beautiful. That's the difference. And she sees it. Yeah, everybody can see it, but she tells it right between the eye. I love it. For me, it's a circle because I criticize women a lot in the horse world. I even call them barn witches, like my hero talking like a horse. Rick Gore. He's one of the guys who pointed me out on the direction of the natural horsemanship. But Marijke, she has the sharpest eye I ever heard. On the video, she can make conclusions about my mindset, and that's where it's all about. The thought with which you encounter the situation determines what you're going to do and what results you get. Is it beautiful, or is it just perfect?
Absolutely. The other thing I'd reflect on there is that both you and I were open to that criticism, and we immediately knew what needed to be fixed or worked on. Do you think that you would have always been open to that type of criticism?
No, okay. Be honest. My question to you: did it hurt when she said it's perfect? But she meant it's not perfect. Did it hurt?
Yes. Yes.
It hurts all the time.
It did. Because always, and it doesn't matter how much mindset work you have done, because myself and my being, like you said, it's in me. That reaction is always in me. It always has been.
I'll show you. So I must admit, this is a peculiar month because I have 2 more weeks to produce a touchstone. Normally it's the breakthrough week and then you have the touchstone. And I'm laughing about it, but my inner feeling says my touchstone is going to be perfect. I hate her for it, but she's right. She's so right. So I have to laugh about this. I can take it because she's right, and no matter what, and I take it, and I don't make the mistake anymore. And my horse is telling me, and when he starts biting and nibble, and the most important thing I have to learn, it's very real, and it's one of her things, the 5 R's. So you have to reward a horse for what he does. But when my horse tells me he's trying, I have to reward the try. And what do I do? Yeah, that's a good try. Give me more. Yeah, do one other step. Yeah. And then he starts nibbling. And no, I'm trying already. Don't ask me any more try. I'm trying already. And I can stop now. I can do redirect. That's not what I meant completely. To give me one more try, but this one is really a good try. Yes, and then he does it, and I quit, and he starts making this horse noise like a. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's so rewarding, and that's the part I always skip, and it's in the details, and I have to remind me every day. But this is something to cling on. Reward the slightest try, so you have first to notice when he tries, and that's immediately reflecting on myself. I never reward myself for a try. We have a saying: trying is to do things with a lot of noise, but not producing, not really giving. So there's a saying here in Holland: trying is making a lot of fuss and producing nothing. So, and that's not what it's about. When he's really trying with the picture in mind, that's okay. It will come in due course. But tomorrow I will make this touchstone, and it will be amazing. And I laugh about it, but I can't help myself. It's there. It's my inner crocodile is telling, "Come on, we're gonna show them something."
I mean, me too. Even if I got a nice one 3 days ago, I will still be filming every day until the very last minute, because that's just me. That's just how it works. So,
but are you making any progression in this area?
yes. So I think that's important too, right? Is that you need to couple the feeling of too much energy or forcing or producing. You need to pair it with some sort of learning. So I always take, like, if I filmed myself with my horse, I always pull it up and I try and analyze it before I go back out to the arena. And I think that's applicable across all aspects of our life, is that you can't just be putting energy in, but not knowing why or what you're putting the energy into.
Oh, the thing, yeah. But the thing is, we are a professional sport, so we are filmed all of the time, and video feedback is harsh. But I come back to the feel. What I learned most in cycling was my coach, who the massage. So he touched your body all the time, and he learned me about what do you feel. And then I feel awkward. I feel ashamed. I feel no. That's emotion. What do you feel? Feel my hand. Feel my hand on your back. Can you feel my thumb? Which finger am I moving? So learn your how do you say it in English? The sentence, the senses that are in your fingertips. How do you say?
Yeah.
Your touch, your touch sentence, your touch. So, and when you learn to be in contact with your body, when you feel it, you need to film still, but you know the feel with which you encounter the situation. And if I may do a little recommendation for you, you have to film, but before you film, feel your body, feel your horse, and then you get this different mindset with which you encounter the situation. You get more quiet because you feel it, and then you don't even need to film afterwards to see the lack of beauty, to see the pressure, to see what's coming off it, because you already felt it when you were doing it or when you were starting to do it. And that's really that is, for me, is every day. It starts with a little meditation and doing my exercise in the morning, and then gradually you don't unwire yourself, you rewire yourself. So on top of your big engine, your pressure, you can have alternate circuits which switch them on. It's like a light bulb. It's not on off. It's this turning thing. You can dim the lights. You can because you feel, and that's something. What Marijke already said it, a life lesson, a life doing straightness training. I would have loved Marijke being with me in the arena, with her sharp eye, seeing me performing. Oh, a touch less light, please. Yes. And then again, now I have to go through the humiliation of everybody seeing me put aside and my hurt. Oh man, I did it again. Okay. In life, she could have turned the lights off and dimmed the light immediately. And that's, I hope you get this confidence as well. That's the big difference between online doing things and live. And that's what we can do. I bring my students, my pupils over here. You can point it out immediately. And that's for people like us with pressure. we can mold ourselves. We can when somebody gives you feedback, you can handle it. I hope. I think. I'm sure you can do it.
No, I agree. And I really love what you said there. And it's something that I need to take on board, because I would still describe myself in the arena with the horse as a drill sergeant. Like as much as I have learned on my mindset journey, I'm still on a very tight schedule, and I know exactly what I want out of them. And like you were even speaking about rewarding the slightest try, rather than what you don't reward what you want, you reward what you get.
Yeah.
And that's really difficult for me, because I have a goal in mind, and I just want to force and produce to get there. And certainly I need to take on board the feel.
Yeah. You do what I always do. Yesterday, still, you see the try, and then you get, hey, you can do it. Okay, one step more. You treat the horse the same as you treat yourself. And my horse, maybe there are horses who like it, but my horse didn't like it, and he told me, and I didn't see. And now he has to trust. When I start nibbling, he quits. Okay, now I have to take care that he starts nibbling on the forehand, because then I quit. So he can manipulate me, and then I have a lot of fun. I'm looking at him. Hey, it's not a holiday, eh? We're still trying to do something over here. And then I have so much fun with my horse. I really love when he starts to manipulate me. Then we're in then you get this searching game. No, not manipulating me. I'm not manipulating you. Don't do it back. So we're gonna try. Okay, what do we try? And then immediately he's there. I can do that. I'm proud of it. He's looking for me, and I can do things better in Liberty than with the Cleverson.
Oh, interesting.
Better, much better. Yeah, hey. And I ask him, so what's different? You're not pulling my face. I can try. I can do it. Just don't pull my face all the time. Okay. It starts with the feel. You have to, the touch of a music instrument. You have to practice every day. How's the feel? Do you feel it? Do you feel the chair on which you sit? Can you, yeah, feeling is very delicate, and we don't feel. In this, it brings me back to my normal job as a consultant. We're not connected, which is a feel in the workplace. We are doing our job and the tasks, so we produce what's desired, not what we not in connection with each other. That's getting better, but not in the workplace. I don't know how it's in Australia, but it's a hard time for people in the workplace, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I still work a corporate engineering job.
Okay.
And my observations are very similar.
Okay.
On that same vein of thought, something that you said to me in the message was not trying to get the result in order to prove yourself, which is something I do see happening a lot, possibly in the corporate world, if people are fighting for promotions and things. But I also see it in the sport world, as athletes reaching goals, or even in the horse world. Is that something you are able to talk to a little bit?
The thing is, why do people want control of the result? Because it's a lack of confidence that when they take responsibility, and I told you before, you don't have control over the end result. You are together with the horse, so you cannot control it. You can produce it together with the horse. In a peloton, you have to produce it together. So if you want to prove yourself by controlling the end result, over which you don't have real control, it's a lack of trust. And that's where I talked about the survival mechanism. When you don't trust it, you get into survival mode. It's fear. It's fear. If you have to prove yourself, it's a way of saying, I'm not worthy. I'm not to be trusted. I'm not trusting people, but I'm not to be trusted as well. So here is my proof but I can be trusted. And I have, in my long life, inmiddels, I'm 64. I hope it's getting longer still, but I have a lot of evidence that the harder I try to prove myself, the more people get disconnected. They even get afraid of me. They don't trust me. So, is he really going to do all that work? I'm not with him. So I'm a lot of time I was on my own. I like to be on my own, but when I was young, in my younger days, and I still had this engine, I was really. You could have. It was nice to have me on the job, but I did a lot of projects because I did the project, and then let's be a little more quiet now. That's a lot of feedback I got. I was used a lot of times. My customers used me because I came in handy. I brought in a lot of energy. Things get done when I'm around, and when I was away, everything collapsed again. So I get the applause, and after the applause, so in a way, this way brought me a lot of money because you get this name. Okay, when he's there, something gets done. But it was not sustainable. I got tired. People got tired, but the results were there. So we're all in the game, and yeah, it coincided with me discovering riding horses and changing my life. I quit my job as a consultant. They ask me still, but I only ask them here to not to coach with horses. I don't want to use my horse to coach people. I want them to learn how to ride a horse. And the only way it can be done is that you learn something about yourself. So through them learning to ride a horse, they learn something about themselves. And maybe they get better leaders. I skipped the job trying to coach them to be better leaders. I talk about it. That's what I do, but I don't interfere anymore. And if you want to be coached by horses, which is very in these days, I learn you how to ride horses, not to be coached by a horse. Then you use the horse, and then it's still not sustainable. So I'm very much on the sustainable tour, and that means I can't wear myself out anymore. I get tired. Okay, I quit, and I get wiser every day. So I have to prove myself a little, but when it doesn't work, I reward myself for the try.
I love that. And what I love is that we've spent this whole episode talking about our journey and what we've learned about ourselves throughout the journey. And now you are changing your life to help other people work and learn in their own horse journey about themselves.
Yeah, that's the only way you get it done. Hey, but Lauren, tell me, are you still a drill sergeant? You don't seem to me like a drill sergeant. You give me all the space. If I were a real drill sergeant in this conversation, I would have said, okay, now stop talking. I'm asking the question.
I am recovering, but there are still aspects of my life where I am a drill sergeant. I'm trying very, very hard, and it will always be a journey for me. But thank you. I'm glad I don't seem like one. That's a win.
But the drill sergeantistic aspects I already noticed a little. You have this thing on the forehand, the preparation, the structure of the conversation, and that's. But can you? I'm making it chaotic because I trust you. You have this wonderful route for this conversation. And I'm just leaning back and I'm totally relaxed because you have control over your drill sergeant inside of you. But I could still see some aspects of it, and they're very handy. They're coming nice. Good for you.
Thank you. And actually, I think that's a really important point for the audience as well, is that it is sometimes a strength. but it just depends in what situations you're using it and how you're applying it. And that is the piece that I have had to learn. So, Maarten, before we finish up, would you like to leave the audience with any last thought?
Keep trying. Keep trying. Eventually, you get closer. Maybe you get there, but you get closer. Keep trying.
I love that. I love that. And how can people find you if they want to be following you or your horse journey or anything else you're doing?
I have this consultant website, and it's still my website in which it's www.ducrot.nl, and Ducrot Ducrot. But then you get this consultant thing and this cycling sportsman thing. I didn't dare to change it yet to horseback.
When are you planning on updating it?
This month, because my wife, we have this little farm and there are 3 horses, 1 new horse, and my wife started a bed and breakfast because we wanted to open the joint, not to close it and to be private. No, open it, be connected. And she's doing very well. As a matter of fact, new guests are arriving today, and every guest, because we have this paddock paradise, we don't put them in stables, they walk around on their own. So people are confronted with horses walking around, and they're not in the stable. No, we have a different opinion on how to handle horses. They have to handle themselves, and they're very, very confident horses now. When you want to meet some, and then they want to meet the horses, and then it starts. It's they're all interested, and people immediately understand. You can immediately give them feedback when they meet the horse. They go, almost every people go, "Oh, I want to touch it," and you see all my horses. They go, "What? What are you doing? I don't know you." They all reach for their face. I said, "Did you notice? I will show you what you did to the horse," and then I go with my hand to their eyes, and they go, "Oh, what do you?" It's even more delicate for a horse than for you, because a horse is very worried all the time. So don't underestimate their worry. And that's from Ross Jacobs. Ross is, don't know Ross Jacobs, eh?
No, I do.
Go find out. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is my last thought is keep trying, and you can find me on ducrot.nl, ducrot.nl, and it was wonderful to talk to you, and we'll meet somewhere. I'm for sure. I'm sure.
We will. I will put all of those links in the show notes so that people can go directly to them. And I have never been to Europe, but I need to one day. So I'm going to be one of the guests at the B&B one day.
Okay. Lauren de Waal, a Dutch name, and never been in Europe, not to speak about Holland. Okay.
I know.
Some things get to be done. Okay.
Maarten, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It has been a pleasure.
It's been an honor. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you so much for listening. My goal is to help you more effectively train or rehabilitate your horse by focusing on your mindset and management, both inside and outside of the arena. If this sounds like something you'd like one-on-one help with, or if you'd like to follow along for more, come join us on the Equestrian Mindset Academy Facebook or Instagram. The links will be in the show notes. Have a great week, everyone.